Right, so I'm just going to do a long-term review of the Moza R9 V1 and the Moza FSR wheel, which obviously comes off wheelbase and wheel. Reason that I've decided to do this is I come across Karl Gosling's video recently, and he was asking the community to give some feedback on long-term use or long-term review of Moza equipment and Camus equipment. Now, I've had this set up since October 2022. We're now in August 2024, so I've used it for several hours. I guess it's probably something between 1,000 and 2,000 hours, something like that, maybe, on various sims and racing games and what have you. And you know, as I sit here now in August 2024, I'm happy with it and think it's great. But I'll sort of go through my journey with it, and I'm going to start with a negative, because that did happen quite early on. So sort of 4 or 5 months into running this Moza equipment, I started to get issues with the shifting. So I'm playing on the same game or whatever, shifting up and down as you do. I'm noticing it's starting to miss shifts, and I wondered, is it a game issue, or is it something to do with the equipment or whatever, or is it something to do with my PC or whatever. It started happening on all the games, so obviously I'm narrowing it down to the equipment. I'm thinking there's obviously something wrong, but at first it was very intermittent, and it didn't happen too much that affected me all the time. So I kind of let it go, and it didn't go away, it got worse. So within a few weeks it got progressively worse, and it got to the point where it was unusable and it just wouldn't register the shifts at all. So I've gone online, gone forums and all that business, as you do. I've noticed a lot of other people getting the same issue, but what people were saying is they was getting, so I'm just turning it on now, they was getting the disconnection of the whole wheel, because the wheel and wheelbase are connected wirelessly. So as I showed you a few minutes ago, you can do the quick release and you just pull the wheel off and click it back on, dead easy. So it is connected wirelessly, but there's no solid connection there with this wheel and wheelbase. So I contacted Moza to tell them about this, and wait a few emails back and forth, various emails. They've asked me to do a few things like reset the wheelbase on the Moza pit house, and go back to an older version of the updates, and tried a few different things, and nothing seemed to work, and it was just as bad as, you know, as it was before after trying all them things. So they eventually said, right, okay, the problem is the wireless transmitter board, which is, I'll show you, which is inside the wheelbase in here. So it's in here, but to replace this, Moza suggested they would send the part out to myself, and they sent they give me a link to a step-by-step guide to replacing it. So on here there's all these Allen keys bolts that I had to take out myself, and it did prove to be a little bit tricky and a little bit fiddly. and I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to zoom in here and let you have a look. So on here, these two Allen key bolts came out first, quite simple. That brings the plate out, which then is plugged in to the wireless transmitter, and then obviously take this out, and the wires all go into the back of here. Then you have to take all these out around this sort of rim here, and it releases all this arm here, and it all comes out, and then take the old wireless transmitter out, put the new one in, put it all back together. Now it was a little bit tricky because some of these Allen key bolts were absolutely rock solid to get out. It was sort of like as tight as possibly could get them, and with a regular Allen key like this, it was so difficult to get them out. I had to sort of like use an extension to get a little bit more leverage on them, but I did find that some of these heads were very, very close to being rounded off, so that proved to be a bit of a challenge, and I had to be very, very careful with it. It could have quite easily gone wrong, that, but I managed to do it. Managed to replace the part, put the part back in, the new part, and then since doing that, I have been more than happy with how it's played and how it's gone, because it's actually worked fine. So that was April 2023. We're now in August 2024, and since then it's been great, perfect, no problem. So I'm just going to show you the condition of the wheel as well. So the FSR wheel, this is the best part of the setup that I've got. Now sometimes I do use gloves to try and look after the wheel, and sometimes I don't, but to be honest, more than often I don't use gloves. I don't, you get a bit warm and what have you, sweaty and all that business. But if you look at this, it looks in really, really, really good condition for nearly a 2-year-old piece of equipment, and that has stood the test of time so far. It looks really, really well. I'm so happy with it. I've spent 550 quid on this, and it's lasted, and it's great. And everything on this is solid as well. All the buttons are really good. Nothing's sort of coming loose. Everything's still working as it should. It's all perfectly well and solid. The screen's a bonus. It looks quite smart with the screen on and what have you. I love the quick release. It's just brilliant how it just sort of clicks on and off. And then to keep it nice and clean and dust free, you get sort of these bags as well. So I'll take the FSR wheel off, I'll put it in the bag at the end of the day when I finish using it, and wrap it up. And I've got another bag which I just place over the top of here, so just try and keep it dust free and all that. So I'm doing my best to sort of look after the equipment as well. But nearly 2 years down the line, it's all in pretty good nick. Obviously I had to do a bit of DIY repair, but apart from that, I'm not too displeased with it. I'm quite happy. So the condition they're in, and actually using it and playing the games and what have you, there's quite a bit of power to the R9. I mean, obviously I've gone from a belt driven Thrustmaster T300 to this, so yeah, it is day and night. And obviously I understand that there's a lot more powerful direct drive than an R9, which is 9 Newton meter. But to be fair, I like the wheel heavy, and when it is sort of up to quite a high percentage of the force feedback, it is quite heavy, and you know, you feel the rumble, and it sort of throws you, and it does give you a bit of a challenge in certain cars. So you know, I'd like to see and use a more powerful wheelbase to feel what it's actually like. But that's when it's sort of cranked up quite high. When it is cranked up quite high, I've noticed it does get fairly warm, does this at times, but nothing that worry about too much. I don't know if other direct drive wheelbases do get warm. I am assuming that they do, because they're working quite hard in there. Sometimes you're playing on it for a few hours and what have you, aren't you? So, but yeah, so my sort of overall sort of conclusion is that you know, my summary is I'm happy with it. Obviously, I've had to do that DIY repair. Since I did that, it's worked fine. So I'm happy that I can do that, because I don't mind doing things like that. You know, I've got a few tools and what have you, and I'm quite handy with things like that, so it's no problem. But for somebody else who may not be that way, I find it a bit more difficult, and would want to send the wheelbase back to be repaired by the experts that build it. Obviously, Moza's in China or whatever, so it just worked out better to do that way. And they never really offered me that, to be honest. But I've done it, and I'm here, and it's all working good. So yeah, that's my review on it. And like, obviously, if Karl wants to, you know, have a look at this video, and he's got my sort of honest opinion on a long-term review, there it is. Basically, that's it in a nutshell. I will say, if Karl is watching or whatever, and he has had a look at the video, that he was selling a Moza wheelbase and wheel rim around the time that I bought mine, just before, and he was selling it off Facebook Market, I remember rightly, because I looked it up, and he was selling it for just obviously a little bit below the brand new price, because he'd done a review on it, but that's all he'd done it, and he obviously gave it quite a bad review, to be fair, back then. But I had my heart set on getting this, and I don't know if it was an FSR wheel rim. I think it could have been one of the other ones, but I contacted him on Facebook Market, and he said, look, sorry, it's already been sold. So yeah, that's nearly 2 years ago. But yeah, so I'm sort of I'm giving it a good score, to be fair. You know, I'm happy with it, and I will be happy with it for a while, and I'll keep using it and enjoying it. Eventually, I would like to upgrade. I like the Acertech stuff. I like the look of it, so that's what I'm probably going for when I could, you know, spend a little bit more money on the stuff. But until then, I'm totally happy with this. The upgrade from belt-driven Thrustmaster to this, and the wheel, which is the bonus with the screen on, looks dead smart. There's loads of different things you can do with it, changing the colours and all that. I can go into a more in-depth sort of video of that if people want to see it. I have done one previously, actually, when I first got it, so that's probably a couple of years ago. There is a video knocking about, but yeah, I'm happy with it. I really enjoy it. So yeah, there's no reason why I wouldn't discourage anyone from sort of going with them. All I would say is, I probably did miss this out actually earlier, that this is a R9 version 1. When I did look on the forums about the problem that I was having, a lot of it cropped up, and it was all to do with the R1 version. Now, there was an R9 version 2, which I believe Moza may have claimed that the issue was not present anymore in the version 2, and the version 2, obviously being an upgrade, is compatible with some other wheels, which the version 1 isn't as well, I believe. So I don't know the full details on that, but it's worth looking into that. So if you are going to go into the second-hand market, just be careful, because there is a version 1 and a version 2. If you don't want the version 1, you just need to make sure whether it is a version 1 or a version 2. that's it really. Yeah, like I say, I'm happy and I'll keep using it, so it's all good.